Welcome to Class 10 English. Happy day students. Hope you all are fine. Today we will study Poem 1 Dust of Snow from the textbook First Flight. Poem 1 Dust of Snow by Robert Frost. Before starting the poem, students, let me ask you something. Have there been times when you felt depressed or sad, having no hope? Have you ever experienced a moment that changed your mood from sad to happy? Just pen down that experience or think about that experience. Let's talk about the poet. As you all know, the poet of this poem is Robert Frost. He is a very famous American poet. He was born on March 26, 1874 in San Francisco. He was the most celebrated poet. Actually, student, he became famous by 1920s. So students, the poem Dust of Snow by Robert Frost is a simple and short poem, yet with a deeper and larger meaning. The poet explains how an act as petty as experiencing snow on one's body can brighten one's day up. The message of the poem is put into words by Robert Frost. What is that? Always, always a larger significance. A little thing touches a larger thing. We will experience this when we will do the explanation of the poem. Stanza 1. The way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. What is a hemlock tree? Hemlock, a poisonous tree with small white flowers. So students, just pay attention to the explanation of the poem. I'm going to explain you line by line. The poem is set in a scene where the poet is in a very bad mood and is walking by a tree. What is the name of the tree? A hemlock tree, which is a poisonous tree. As he passes by, a crow happens to throw some snow dust on him. Whether it falls on his head or shoulders, it's unknown. And there is no specific mention in the poem. Also, the readers are left in doubt about the bird's specific action. We don't know why this happened. Whether the crow did purposely or accidentally this happened. So what happened? Whether the crow was landing or shivering with cold, readjusting itself on the branch or taking off, it happened to send some particles of snow upon the poet. Here two agents of nature, the hemlock tree and the crow, are signifiers of sadness and gloom, just like the poet's mood was in the opening line. Okay, let's go to the second stanza. Stanza 2 has given my heart a change of mood and saved some part of a day I had rued. What is the meaning of rued over here? Held in regret. Now just I will explain you this stanza line by line. For reasons unknown, the poet was having a terrible day. But the falling of the snow on his head lifted his mood. Okay, lifted his mood instantly. He had already spent his day in a bad mood, but the rest of it was saved by the crow and the hemlock tree. Generally, hemlock tree and crow are used for negative references, but the poet used them beautifully to portray that inauspicious things can bring joy and happiness too. One must not take things for granted and should be open and accept whichever way the nature chooses to bless us. Understood the second stanza? Let's have a look at the poetic devices. First, we will talk about rhyme scheme. Rhyme scheme, the last word of each line rhymes with the next line or the alternate lines. So, crow is rhyming with snow. So, A here is there and me is rhyming with tree. So, A, B. Second stanza, heart. Heart is not at all rhyming with any other thing. Crow, me, snow, tree. So this is this other rhyming word. So heart rhymes with part and mood rhymes with rude. So it becomes CD, CD. Now let's see the second poetic device, alliteration. What is alliteration? You have read from 6th standard or 5th standard onwards. The occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning or adjacent or closely connected words. For example, here, has given my heart. So, her sound, has her, heart, her. Next line, and saved some part. So, saved sir, some sir. So, this is here, that's why we call it as alliteration. Okay, because occurrence of the same sound. Next, children, we have inversion. Inversion in stanza 1. Stanza 1 where the poet talks about the way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. Okay, now what is an inversion? When the structure of a sentence is changed by the poet to create rhyme, this poetic license is called inversion. Okay, when the poets change the structure, grammatically the poet has changed just to create the rhyme and rhythm in the poetry. So when these poet has a license, sometimes they do the changes in the grammatical sentences, sometimes they do the changes in the spellings, sometimes they do the changes in the structure. So when they use that poetic license, that is known as inversion. Okay. Next poetic device is bacho, assonance. Assonance in stanza 1, line 2. What is that? Shook down on me. So just see shook, O, U sound. Down, O and on, O. So O sound is prominent. Okay. So when we have the prominence of a vowel sound throughout a line, it is known as assonance. Just keep it in mind. Next, very prominent poetic device the poet has used in this poem. It has been used throughout the poem by the poet. What is that? What is enjambment? When the same sentence continues to the next line throughout the full stanza or the next line without the use of any punctuation marks, it is known as, students, enjambment. So here in this poem, the poet has not used any comma, any inverted comma, semicolon, colon, nothing. He started with the poem the way a crow and last line is of a day I had root. So after that he has put the full stop. So that is known as enjambment. Once again I'll tell you, when the poet or any writer, they don't use any punctuation mark, okay, throughout their lines or their paragraph or stanzas, that is known as enjambment. Students, hope you have understood the poem. So just make a note, what did you learn from this poem? Just write down. Thank you.